I'm going to put some numbers on the angle of aggression and explain how the behind center distance, the BCD, can be calculated using the angle of aggression, which is down here. This chart applies to all cutting units regardless of brand. Typical BCD of a greens mower is anywhere from 0 to 0.400 of an inch, somewhere in that range. The typical angle of aggression is usually approximately 0 to about 10 degrees. So this is the triangle of aggression, which I revealed in another video entitled Angle of Aggression Triangle, I believe. So when we know this angle of aggression, then we can figure out or calculate the BCD. So here we have a 0 degree angle and 0 BCD. Here we have a 1 degree angle and 0.044 BCD. This row of BCD figures is for a 5-inch diameter reel. This row is for a 4.5-inch diameter reel. So I'm going to explain how to calculate the BCD when the angle is known. But I'm going to skip ahead first to the quickest way to determine the BCD is to use this chart right here and quickly find the angle of aggression using the fork and the associated tools. So if I find that my angle of aggression is 1 degree and I've got a 5-inch diameter reel, when I do my calculation, the answer is going to be 0.044 of an inch. If I find that I have a 2 degree angle, my BCD is 0.087, 3 degree 0.131, and if my cutting unit is on the aggressive end of the spectrum, then I'm going to have something like close to 0.400 down here for a 5-inch reel. And my range of aggression for a 4.5-inch diameter reel is going to be somewhere a little bit less, but close to 0.400. Now, how do I calculate this BCD knowing that I have 1 degree angle? I'm going to use this trigonomic formula. To find the BCD, I'm going to multiply the radius of this 5-inch diameter reel, the radius being 2.5 inches. I'm going to multiply that 2.5 times the sine of the angle of aggression. The sine of 1 degree is 0.01745. So I multiply 2.5 times that, and that gives me 0.044. If I had an angle of aggression of 6 degrees, and I had a 4.5 inch diameter reel. I could use this, I could just refer to this chart, or I could do the calculation. So the radius of a 4.5 inch reel is 2.25. So I would multiply 2.25 times the sine of 6 degrees. I don't know what the sine of 6 degrees is, but I could look that up in a chart or online. So I multiply that, and that would give me 0.235. Here's a handbook with the, well, what they're calling the natural trigonometric functions. The sine of 1 degree in 0 minutes is 0.01745, as I have here. The sine of 2 degrees in 0 minutes is 0.03490. The sine of 1.5 degrees would be 1 degree and 30 minutes, 0.02618. The sine of 1 degree and 60 minutes would be the same as 2 degrees, 0.03490. 0.03490.